That is why I'm recording.
Hey, yo.
And the situation recording in progress. You didn't hear me. How was it?
When that woman says we're recording. The name is Uncle MC Tyro, and you know we always hear Zoomicast, the podcast. Today it's one of those extra episodes. Of course, Blackheart is in the building. Producer Blasphemer extraordinaire, and then we have of course our friend of the show, King Boaz. We all know him.
Yo.
And of course, today, before we introduce, we the past 2 weeks, the most talked about thing in the art segment has been the $150 that has been introduced by ZIMURA for bands that play cover tracks and all that. So this is going to be the gist of our conversation today. And joining us, we've got Norman Mafurachize. He's an academic and a researcher. He's worked with countless artists, and then you know what? I usually let people tell their own story. So Norman will introduce himself in a few words, and then we get to the bottom of it. We want to understand, we debate it, we talk about it. You know how we do it. Then we see how best after whatever time we see how best we lay our opinions. Norman, what's up? Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, MC.
Yeah.
Indeed, I'm a researcher with based in Gauteng. My interests are in the areas of marketing, as well as music, marketing in general, as well as digital marketing in specific terms. In music, I'm in the industry on a strictly voluntary basis, just to see if one can contribute towards the success of our very own industry. I do work quite a lot with Sungura artists. It's been quite a number of years working with a number of them. I currently do PR work for Mark Ngqabutho, and it's been quite a number of years as well.
Oh yeah.
So
Awesome.
that's just in brief from.
Yeah, man. So yeah, let's get to it. King Boaz.
Yo, my G.
Firstly, you know what? I see my Benny from bottom, starting from the bottom going up. Royalties. How are royalties paid? And then after that, we'll come to the whole thing. Because and then I'll just mention like as of right now, as we are recording, $1 is 322 to the ZiG. And then I found out that we are getting paid almost 0.003106. I don't know if it's 3 cents or what. As of 14 March, that's what every airplay was getting. Each time your music gets played, that's the 0.31, which is in the US dollar for airplay on radio.
It's actually better than Spotify.
Yeah, but you know what? Because we're looking at it in the ZIMURA way. But okay, Boaz, let's get with it on the royalties, and then we come to Norman.
Okay. Yeah, so with royalties in general, they are broken into different categories. We do have performance rights. We do have what is called mechanical rights, and then we have neighboring rights. So all these things are supposed to be paid for different purposes at different times. But what we do have in Zim, we mainly focus on our realities, radio play. That's what we usually argue about. That is the biggest thing that ZIMURA has been doing over the years, or have been focusing on that. Though their mandate is bigger than just the radio play, their rights are used across different platforms. So maybe if I can define what performance rights are, what mechanical rights are, and what neighboring rights are. So with the performance rights, this is when your song is performed. This is maybe played on radio. This is when it's performed on a live, by a live band. This is when you perform yourself at a particular venue. This is when your music is used directly. Someone takes your track and use it as it is. And then you come with neighboring rights. Neighboring rights is the payment that is made to someone who is not directly involved in the creation of the music, but was there. For example, an engineer in a studio is supposed to be credited in a song. They're supposed to get their rights when that song is being played. Those are neighboring rights. So they are called neighboring because it's not a direct payment to the actual royalty of the song. So it's usually a fraction of the percentage that is paid to some of the owners of the song, depending on the geography. It depends on where you are. And then you do have mechanical rights. Mechanical rights is when your music is used on different platforms. For example, if we take a MC Title song and we put it on an advert. This is an advert about, let's say, toothpaste. And then we do have an MC Title song. That is a mechanical right. This is when your music is used in a film. We have a horror film, and then we have a perfect song from Black What that we think we can use, and then we then we use that that song there.
So now
the other thing,
because I know you've got all them lined up. ZIMURA has said cover bands pay 150. Before we even get to how they reach there, which category does this 150 come under now?
That is a performance right.
But
that is a primary right. That's one of the primary rights, because the performance rights is the big one. That's the big right where artists make most of their money from it being played, whether it's a music video on TV, whether it's played on radio, whether they do a performance, or whether someone performs their song. That is a performance right.
But the norm is
doing covers is like a sampling. So you pay for samples, you must pay for covers also.
Yeah,
absolutely. So but can we also take note that when it comes to performance rights, especially for bands that are coming to perform your music, or these performance rights are a venue's responsibility, because venues are responsible for obtaining a license from the PRS to allow public performances of copyright music, including cover songs. Maybe we can have also Norman coming through, and then what's it?
But Norman can go through. We can further debate on that and see how it works.
About DJ, maybe when it's DJs playing in a club, that's when maybe the owners must pay for those royalties. Maybe not covers. Covers, I think, I'm an artist, because when as an artist who's a performer mchatweni, who's a performer party, you must pay for all of those things. Performers sabali umnikazi venue, because umnikazi omchato kasoze ebhadalela ama royalties lawa. Kumele wena kube nguwe obhadalayo.
But wena as umnikazi welokuze, because the thing is, with what I'm reading online is the PRS, which is the Performance Rights Society, right, gives a responsibility to the venue, whether it's a DJ who comes to play music, whether it's a band which comes to play other people's music. Those guys would have to submit a playlist of the music that was used at their venue. That's where these royalties will go to the original writers or composers of that piece of work that was used at the venue on the day.
So
Yeah.
you're
So if I
telling
can
me
add on what
it's
title,
150 per play. Is it 150 per play?
I know before we debate 150, okay,
Huh?
let's try and qualify this. What title is saying is true. I've seen this in the Netherlands, I've seen this in the UK, I've seen this
Yes.
in SA. So what happens is that when DJ Mapurisa is going to play a song at Conca, he has a list of the song that he's going to use. The owners of the venue have a mandate to also record what songs were used. They
Yes.
both submit the list to the particular. This is Samro. They submit this to Samro. Both of them should submit ama list angu
Yeah.
But what happens is that Umapurisa comes with 2 copies, one for himself, one for the venue, and tell them that this is the list of songs. So in practice, someone is supposed to tick to say this is the music that is being used, but no one is employed for that. So what usually happens is that whatever Mapurisa supplies as a list is what will be submitted to Samro by Mapurisa and by the venue. And then Samro is the one that is then responsible to see how much is supposed to be paid by this. I'm not sure about the exact technicalities of how this venue pays, but definitely it's not 150.
And that works in a near perfect environment where systems are in place and systems and with people responsible and everyone is getting paid accordingly according to what you've inputted and other things otherwise. And then it comes to our ZIMURA situation. These guys, they collect shit when it's convenient to them. When they decide this is convenient, then they come with this. When this is convenient, they come with that. There's at one point in time, I remember 2014, 2013, 2014, they became so serious with walking around CBD, asking people if they had a ZIMURA license for just playing music in their shops. Do you understand? And they did that and they walked around Now probably they want to collect some money and then they are doing that. You get? Because right now, who goes to Chirimanzi and make sure the band that's playing there is played one Mafumo, one Mtukudzi, one Andy Brown, one what, and submits a list. No one is doing that because at the same time, right now, even ZBC is not even giving people royalties, which is the easiest way to calculate because everyone is listening to radio. You get, but they're not getting paid. The people that I have spoken to personally, I don't know, maybe Norman will help us because he works with people. Someone says the Sungura guys get paid more than anyone else, but the people that I've spoken to, I think only Center Party has mentioned that he got royalties and not even it wasn't even from ZBC. So I don't know. Norman has been on the sidelines. Let's bring Norman in.
Yeah, no, I wanted to do a lot of listening. There are a lot of things that we could be conflating here around these issues. And I have also tried to follow this debate online, and I'm realizing that a lot of issues are just being mixed up and conflated. The mandate of ZIMURA is seemingly like what you mentioned earlier on, being suited for certain narratives or certain situations. Yes, I think it's proper for them to collect royalties. I mean, everyone understands that and agrees. But let's answer the first question. And that is a question whose answer is not come across for me as all these things have been happening on WhatsApp, on Facebook and other social media platforms. The key question is what music is being covered out there, covered in courts? Who is playing what in those venues? What kind of music is being played? Is it music that was recorded in the 90s? Or is it music that was recorded in the early 2000s or in the 2010s? Or it's music that's been recording after 2020? From my conversations with with artists and other people in the industry, much of the music that is being covered is music that was done by Abo Majaivana, Oliver Mtukudzi, Leonard Dembo, your Simon Chimbetus, and I think Alec Macheso as well, and a bit of some Jah Praiser, as well as Thomas Mapfumo. Those are some of the, and Chuoni Somarela. Those are some of the artists whose names popped up a lot when I was trying to get an understanding of what is going on here. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because we want to know when this music was recorded. You will see that much of that music was recorded in the late 80s into the 90s up to maybe 2000. Those are the songs that when you walk into those venues are being played, are being covered. Now, the question now that I want to bring in is, who owns that music? Who actually owns that music? Because it's music that's under a record label, and what was in the contract signed by those artists and the record labels, your Grammar and ZMC.
Yes.
So it then brings us to another key question around in whose interest is ZIMURA collecting these revenue, these fees? Are they collecting this stuff of the defunct or still operational ZMC or Grammar? Are they doing this for the artists that are already, most of them, a majority of them are late? Are they doing it for the select few who are still alive and who have not spoken about these issues or raised concerns about them being covered? Because we also hear another school of thought saying, no, if you cover us, you're also doing us a very good favor because it continues to keep our work alive. So that is one question that I want to bring before I take the debate back to
Absolutely, absolutely. Because you know what, Norman, I think me and Blackout, we spoke about it once to say most of these guys, most of the music, the guys were signed to back then, Grammar and ZMC. Those were the two guys, record labels that were dominant and that had signed most of these guys. And when ZIMURA collects that 150, it's because I don't know, is ZMC still there? And
yeah, they are still there. I think they were merged.
They were no, but they were bought by what's his name? Elias Msakwa. So you can't go.
He is the master.
Did you buy all the ZMC masters?
Yes,
I think
the masters.
I can't authoritatively say that, but
yes,
he should be the guy.
He should be the masters.
So guys, please, can I please ask Mr. Elias Msakwa, please do us justice and change Love More Majaivan as titles. Yo, it's pathetic.
But I don't think that's another debate that we want to bring later on, because I don't think Msakwa is responsible for uploading.
That's not him.
Yeah, it's someone who's trying to make money. Yeah, but
on the Majaivana on the Love More Majaivana issue, let me quickly comment. That's pirates that is going on there.
Yes.
The music is formally distributed by Grammar ZMC or wherever he was recording. But it's people that are renaming the music in order to evade the copyright strikes and all that. So they can even name it in Shona or Tonga or any other language just to evade all those tracks. So that's the situation with Majaivan. But they do own the music.
So as it was from where Norman left.
One other thing before Lidlula Lapo, there's this thing that I heard when we were in Beatmakers Market. So they were saying a sample that is 25 years and old. I saw patalelwa like clearance. Does ZIMURA use that rule also, or give by 7?
I think King Boaz needs to come in.
Most of these tracks, they are 25 years and old, so these people should be performing them for free. They should not be paying.
Yeah, the problem with
like that.
The problem with most of our, I would say, African collecting bodies, they do not have an African standard of what works here and what doesn't work there. Other countries say 70 years. Other countries have come down to 25. But if we go back to the international copyright, World International Copyright Organization, it's still 70 years. So they still protect anything that is 70 years and below. So if our ZIMURA and our Samro, Kapas and whatever are part of the WIPO, they will be bound by the 70-year rule. But yes, there are countries that are now saying anything that is 25 years, you can sample that, and then there won't be any penalties. But I doubt ZIMURA will be using that because ZIMURA loves money, guys.
But does that apply also to performances by cover bands? Or is only on just sampling?
It is all affected. All of them are performance rights. If anything that is a performance rights will be affected by the same length, by the same right. It doesn't matter whether it's used on radio or you perform it at a pub. Is it your song or is it not your song? It will still come to the same place where the same rule, whether it's 25 or 70 years, it will be affected by that same rule. Yeah.
Okay, Norman raised an interesting question. On whose, not authority, but to whose benefit is this revenue collection going? Because we all know this music that's being, he gave us a list of the most popular music that's being sampled.
Yes.
The Mafumo, Maraires, Tukuzi, and it's usually music that's from back then, the 80s and stuff, you know, the Takuran Bomberas and, you know, those war songs and stuff. So,
yeah,
to whose benefit?
Yeah, usually on Valentine's Day, these guys have used everyone's songs. So yes, I understand that in general, they use old songs. But on Valentine's Day, most artists, even the current ones, were affected by the fact that someone was playing their cover song. If you look at videos that are all over social media, especially the guys with saxophones, guys that are performing for birthdays and whatever. They did those love songs, especially Trevor Dongo, for example, was one of those guys who featured a lot there in Japres and whatnot. But yes, most of the music that people do play or people that learn from is music that is old. From Oliver Mtukudzi and other senior players, the Pundu Boys and them. Those are people that people do use a lot. But does this make ZIMURA's law less important? No, I don't think ZIMURA's law to correct rights is less important. It is as important for those guys as it is for Trevor Dongo. I think the problem that I have with this whole thing is how it is done. You know, there is nothing that justifies $150. There's nothing at all. You know, Radio Zimbabwe is the biggest radio station in the country, and you get paid less than $1 for your performance for a 3 minutes or 5 minute song, and then you perform a 3 minute 5 minute song or at a venue, then you have to pay 150 when your audience is 50 people. It doesn't make sense at all. There is no economic sense or any reasonable justification of what ZIMURA is doing. And the problem also, I have been in groups like Norman that was saying, I've asked questions, and the question that was thrown at me was, are you part of any union? I don't know why that is important. You know, the people belonging to these organizations are asking, are you a member of ZIMURA? Are you a member of this?
You see now, that's the other thing. That's the other thing that I don't understand. Why? Because because you know what?
No one was willing to answer questions that I put through. They were all saying, are you part of this? Are you part of that? So there is no progress in most of these discussions. I think it's probably 4,000 messages later on a group with about, not even 4,000, probably 20,000 messages later on a WhatsApp group with over 600 people. There is no consensus. There is no direction. It's not clear what is happening there because everyone seems to be evading.
I'm actually happy you brought it up because, you know, personally, I just thought this was a bunch of hogwash because, you know, they will tell you, you need to be a member of the Zimbabwean Union of Musicians for us to listen to you, ABCD. So where is the freedom? You understand? We live in a democracy. I don't want to be part of that, but I'm an artist. I'm allowed to practice. I'm allowed to do it.
And also, if they are going to grow the organization, they should be listening to people that are not part of that organization. Give me a reason why I should be part of you. Give me a reason why you are doing anything that benefits anyone. You know, so the justification is the people within the organization know what you are doing for them. That is nonsense, you know.
But now we've seen posts because I've seen posts by two actually. Two posters. One is the Zimbabwe Musicians Union. Playing music is not a crime. They are saying no to ZIMURA. They are protesting. cover bands are not criminal, stop the $150 fee. There's things that are going on online. The same organizations that when you're asking questions, they asking if you're coming from them. They are also not interested at the end of the day. So progress-wise and where we stand right now, it's like we're at loggerheads, catch-22. It's not a bad idea, like you're saying, but how are we going about it? And how are we getting at the figure? Those are the three things that are really making this look all,
Yeah, I just wanted to come in and just concur with most of the things that you're talking about, to say we are a largely unstructured industry. The industry itself, the ecosystem itself, lacks some robust structures or systems, or should I say the kind of infrastructure that is needed to properly monetize or properly be able to have voices being heard in a unified manner, like what you see in different markets or in different settings, such as your South Africa and other advanced developed countries. So that's why I think there's a lot of chaos as to who is saying what and where. And I think also ZIMURA could be taking advantage of the fact that it's a structureless setup.
Yeah, and I just maybe to add on what you're saying, if we look at the South African industry, for example, you do have SAMRO, you do have Capaso, you do have SAMPRA, you could also have RISA. So I will talk of SAMRO. They collect performance rights. Anything to do with performance rights, that will be SAMRO that's responsible for that. And then you have Capaso, they are responsible for any mechanical rights. Any mechanical rights, Capaso would be responsible for that. And then you have the SAMPRA, which is responsible for the neighboring rights. And then you have RISA plays a different role, so it will be a different animal altogether. So these three. Yeah, so they do have certification in selling. So it's a different animal. The RISA is farm reaching over all these others. They're also responsible for the awards, the summers. That's the RISA. So the other three, the SAMPRA, the SAMRO, the Capaso, do have specific roles. They have specialization. You know that you won't find a situation that we have where ZIMURA, ZICO, and Zimbabwe ZIMU, Zimbabwe Music Union are doing. They are all representing same thing, trying to eat from the same cake. That's why some of these fights, I don't even think they're genuine fights at the end of the day. But those are people whose definition and what they're supposed to do is not separated from each other. That's why we have all these people fighting for the space to have the artists to say we are the biggest organization in doing this. So the SAMRO in South Africa do not pay anything to be part of SAMRO. So they are mandated by the constitution to represent any artist. So any artist in South Africa can be part of SAMRO. Then the others, yes, there is a
not South Africa,
registration.
It's Southern Africa.
Southern Africa, So so anyone they represent, you do not have to pay them. So they do what they do as mandated by the constitution. And then the others, because they are more of specialized and or something that is not only obvious, because the performance right, that's the right that is used almost on a daily basis. Everyone uses the performance rights from radio stations, TVs, and all that. So we do have a situation where ZIMURA is doing what Zimbabwean Union of Music is doing, what ZICO is doing. All of them are trying to outdo each other. They are trying to outperform each other. That's why now
is ZIMURA a government wing or something? Is it under the government, or it's just some way? Is it under the Ministry of Arts?
I don't think it's under the Ministry of Arts, but it was created via the Constitution. I think they have what you call it, the Copyright Act and Neighboring Rights, Chapter 2605, is the one that brings about the birth of ZIMURA. So they are something that is somehow, somewhere linked to the government in a sense. That's why it's easier for them to collect royalties from ZBC, for example, they have a direct mandate from our law.
But
They are not something
how
we
did
can,
Yo,
me
Nabo,
and you can think now and say, let's come up with our own union.
Yeah.
It's not like that. They're the union
if
that is birthed out of the chapter 2605
yo,
of
that's why it's
2004, I
hard
think.
because they represent these four entities la kade ukhuluma ngawe in South Africa.
Yes.
They
So they're doing everything that
they
Capaso,
also because there's
Sampra, and
also radio
Samra are doing.
monitoring also because
They are doing all that. Yes. So they're doing all that. That is under ZIMURA. So
So
ZIMURA
they have
is
this
actually a
they have this
very,
autonomous authority over the whole music industry.
in one of my posts on Facebook, I was talking about the feasibility of doing what Samro, Sampra, and Capaso are doing, and Risa are doing. Actually, ZIMURA does all the four. So ZIMURA does everything that is divided into 4 different fully fledged organization in another country and even elsewhere. If you go in any country, you will see that there is that specialization where the performance rights are specialized by a particular organization that does everything to do with performance rights. Then if you come to mechanical rights, there will be a different organization for that. If you come to neighboring rights, there will be a different organization for that. If you come to certification of sales and some of these things, it also be a different organization altogether. But we do have ZIMRA having everything under one roof, because ZIMRA at their inception should be 1982. They were established under the chapter that I spoke about, which is chapter 2605 of the Copyright and Neighboring Rights Act. So they do have that mandate from the constitution, from the government, to do what they do.
Okay.
So I was questioning the feasibility to say, is it feasible for ZIMRA with one office? I don't know if they have another. I know that they have one office that is in Harare with employees that are in that office. It's not feasible for them to do the job
so
that
that
they're
one
meant to
in
do.
Absolutely.
that one
Even if you
in
go to the one
Bulawayo
in
does not
Bulawayo,
function anymore.
it functions, but when you go, is it still at Love House? I don't know. Or that
Kanje
Bradlow's building.
Obulo, who was there, Kanje? Who was there? Clarence, Kanje, ubani,
Yeah. But you know what? You brought up the whole feasibility thing and everything. Before we even go any further, Norman, you are into marketing and you work with because Mark Ngwazi is a big artist. He's probably, I think he's won awards and he's probably had a Song of the Year and stuff, and he's been there. He's one of he's a seasoned player right now. When you can't mention Sungura without mentioning Mark Ngwazi. So I would assume he's one of those people whose music has been played regularly. When it comes to realities, he's been getting his royalties, right? That's just part.
Okay.
That's just a side note.
Unfortunately, on this platform, I can't review that. I can't review whether he has received or not. Obviously, because I have to consult with him whether he wants it out there or not. So I'll just make some general comments.
But some of these things we shouldn't make them secrets, because you know what? If we need to call out and we need to call out and we need to upload where something is nice, let's upload. Where it's fucked up, we need to call out. So if he didn't receive, because I'll tell you, after my friends will tell you, I've never received. The last time one of my friends got royalties was 2016. That was the last time. The reason why I'm asking that is it's just a side note. I was asking, why now with the whole thing of making band these? Why now? Why did ZIMURA decide, you know what, this covers, people start paying? Did it come from the whole Valentine debate where these trumpet guys started making noise? Because come on, how many of these trumpet boys do we have in Zimbabwe? And how long did we have cover bands in the country? Since before independence. And am I going to Besakiti Lokuzen? Cover bands who were playing about Don Williams, about Dolly Parton, and about Stimel, about Mire Makeba, and stuff like that. These things have been there. These things have been part of our society since long back. Why now? Why now? Is it because of these 5 trumpeters?
Again, I will have to evade the first part of the question. I will have to evade that. And of course, allow me to make the democratic choice of dealing with the second part.
It's all right. It's all right.
If you look at the history of our music industry, we do not have um, much in terms of originating our own sound. I think Chimurenga and just some of the few things can be attributed, the Mpira can be attributed to us. But much of the music that we have performed over the years has evolved, has started from outside, has started from elsewhere. Yes, I want to agree with you that I think it's we call them the Bosho guys. Definitely, there were mentions in the media or on social media spaces that they are overbooked and all that. When someone begins to tell you that they are overbooked in an economy like Zimbabwe, where formal unemployment rates are very, very high, extremely high, then you obviously begin to raise some eyebrows, and I think that's the Zimbabwean in the ZIMURA then began to activate itself to say, but why can't we also get a cake out of this? Because I think they thought this was some very huge money making kind of a thing. Then of course they decided to also go for the cover bands. But the whole approach is not reflective of what the economy is able to give to our people. People are earning between $200 and $350. There's not so much that people are taking home. Most of the jobs are informal, and I think we should agree that we are not so much of a high income economy that can afford such fees. And also, they admit in one of the platforms that they didn't do much consultations around that. In fact, they actually say that we never consulted because the law does not say we should consult. You understand? Yet the constitution itself requires that you should consult. Yet some of the laws that govern music itself require that you should go out there and also make some consultations, because that enables you to achieve the acceptability that is so required around such laws. I think those are my thoughts.
Personally, I think there should be a compromise or some middle ground that we need to reach. ZIMURA and the artists, and I think the middle ground right now is ZIMURA withdrawing the law and starting afresh. Because right now as we speak, how much, I know you will evade this question again, how much do people like Mark Ngwazi get paid for a show? You're on mute. You're on mute.
You're on mute.
I've already responded. Again,
because you know what? This is just an hypothesis, right? Kuti, you know what? If people who are playing original music are getting a certain amount, right?
Yes.
And then these cover bands, we all know these cover bands don't get that much. You get, because especially if you look at the small venues that they play in, it's usually a small cocktail bar in these old hotels. Our old hotels, the Royal hotels in Bulawayo, the Marriage, the Cecils and stuff. Very few, sometimes with no even a cover charge. And the people who are supposed to pay that are the owners of the venue. And then me and Boaz and Blackout come through and pay ZIMURA 150, and the owner of the club is not even paying us that for performance. How do we work this out?
Boaz.
Let me just come in, Norman, then Boaz comes in.
So I want you to understand that what ZIMURA has done. ZIMURA, for me, doesn't want to charge $150. But what ZIMURA has done is that they have set something in such a difficult way that when you begin to negotiate, you are negotiating from a position of weakness. So they want you to debate all these figures and all that, but their figure is not 150. So they are going to seem to be nice people when they take it to a certain figure, or say $100 or something like that. They have a figure in their mind, but 150 is sort of a decoy. They're sort of deceiving you into beginning to panic and
So
think
this is just a figure that's been thrown around. It's not implemented yet.
It is part of their rules. It's part of the law according to them. But what they are trying to do is to make you come to the negotiation table. Because it's not sustainable, to be honest. I mean, coming back to your point, it's not sustainable. Some of the venues, you just have about 15, 20 people drinking, and then there's a band that's doing covers. And those people, they may not necessarily even pay to get into there. They're just buying alcohol and they're just enjoying themselves.
And
so it's just a way
and
of
most of these
to...
bands, mind you, they have a one check that they get probably month end of maybe even that 150 that you're talking about for some of them.
Or some small amounts as small as maybe $80 per performance, or $60 or something like that. You know, but the whole point is that they know that it's a very difficult turf for them. So they set up a certain figure, a very high figure, so that when you come to the negotiation table, it would seem as if they are doing you a favor to take it to another figure. Trust me, this is going to happen in the next few weeks. You are going to see it happening.
Boaz.
Yeah. So I was saying that with ZIMURA, they have 43 years to their name. They've existed for 43 years. And they wake up in 2025 and decide there's a cover charge that they have.
It's still, you know what, Boaz? I'll let you continue. It still baffles me because I swear to you, it's these Maposho boys after Valentine's, when everyone started asking why they keep, this Oriana and Yasha David song and that, what's his name? Japreza thing. But it's such a drop in the ocean, my guy. It's such a drop in the ocean. How many days do we have Valentine's? How many days are those boys booked? And you are mentioning an organization that's been there for 43 years. And bands have been playing. This is like destroying because, this is just a phenomenon that will die. We know Zimbabwe. We had fucking mushroom, we had Jiuta, we had whatever. This is just a thing that will blow away soon. It will be gone. Do you understand? And you can't make nation-changing decisions. We already have a messed up, close to non-existent industry, and we're scrounging. You understand? We are literally digging using our fingers, and you bring this.
Yeah. So with that saying that after 43 years they decide this, I don't know if there's anyone who's a researcher at ZIMURA for starters. Station bands are usually paid $15 per night for each person who's in the band. So if, let's say there's 4 of them, four instrumentalists, that is $60
yes,
plus probably the $15 for the person who's performing. That's $75. So those people are making $75 for playing those covers, and you want them to pay you the money that they have been paid, and also look and borrow other money from somewhere else to make up the 150, and then come next week and do the same thing, and you think that is going to be sustainable from January to December, So ZIMURA, basically, they did not think doing this. They need to rethink this and make sure that they make something that is feasible. I do want people to pay if they're going to play my music as a cover. I am not those guys who say it's promotion. I don't believe in that. If someone has created something, if it's going to be used, there should be a benefit. Even if it's 2 cents, there should be a benefit. But come up with something that is feasible within the industry. Let everyone go to perform your cover, knowing that they are not going to be made to pay an extra $75 on top of the 75 that they've been given, because it doesn't make sense. And the problem is with the ZIMURA, most of you guys are failed artists who are leading that thing. And it's sad that you then go on and come up with such things. Are you able to go to venues and pay the 150 yourselves, the guys at ZIMURA? Are you able to go and pay that 150 and do the same thing and be able to sustain it from January to December, paying those 150 to ZIMURA as someone who's an outsider?
I'm glad you brought the fact that most of them are actually former artists, and some of them with not even a colorful thing to show. There's things that happen during their prime or during their attempted take at this. Would they pay during that time? Was this feasible? And then enye into is ZIMURA ama-royalties abhadalwa ngani? Because as I keep going online searching, everything that says ZIMURA is written in Amazigh. So why can't you just say, okay, come pay Amazigh Lao to perform instead of charging me in US dollars?
Yep.
Because now that seems like that's the norm when it comes. That's why I was asking if it's a government entity. Because right now, I had someone tell me, okay, the $500 prize money for Amanama Awards came in Amazigh, and when you translate it, it's not even $500. That's just a side note. But yeah, I catch you in there. You were still going on about, the fact that it's failed artists and who are coming through with these solutions. Do they have a department where they do research? Or they just wake up and say, abafana bakutora marawa, fuck it, 150. And then Mangwana something will come through and abafana bakutora marawa, fuck it, 200.
Guys, we don't say failed artist anymore. We say attempted artist.
Yeah, okay. They're probably cool Jones of their era. And then
Cool Jones.
way forward. Boaz, okay, I'll let you finish. Then maybe way forward. What's the ideal thing we can do? Because remember, we don't have an industry. We need to agree, and we need to say it so clearly. For us to have an industry, there need to be a product, there need to be a consumer, and there need to be an exchange of some sort of currency in it for us to say we have an industry. Right now, we have producers who are doing it and not getting paid in the process. And then probably somewhere in the food chain, one person might get one show and get paid, and that's that. And then another person might be lucky. Or in Zimbabwe, we have an industry, a situation whereby we can only have a few. Like right now, we've got Mark Ngwazi is doing well. Then we have Japreza, Wikiti, and then we have right now we've got Master Edge. There won't be 10, and those are the only people who will be getting the money. And the rest of us can't even have anything. So we already have a crippled industry. And these guys, they're not building, they're destroying. So I don't know. We need to find a way as artists and as sympathizers and as critics to say, what's the way forward?
Yeah. So we go back, for example, to licenses that are being paid by these venues for radio and TV. That is an annual charge of about a maximum of $200. And you're looking at a venue that has access to a product that is being broadcast to millions of people at that time. So why would the same venue now, because it's a live performance, be charged $150 per event?
Okay.
That doesn't make sense if you look at the license that I pay for radio, whether even that makes even the license that they're asking for a car, it becomes more reasonable than what these guys are doing. When I'm going to be listening on this music alone, it becomes more reasonable than the one event per event thing that they're doing of saying 150 per event. You have, I don't know how many venues in Harare per night, thousands of them, paying 150 per event. That doesn't make sense, and they don't have a capacity to collect that money anyway. So ZIMURA should go back to the drawing board, count their losses. The 150 doesn't make sense. It wasn't well thought. And then they try and come up with a system that works for everyone. I think using international standards would be the best thing to collect the playlists that these people come up with, find a figure per song, whether you call it per song or you call it per show, whatever it is, but let it be something that is we can calculate and say, okay, you used this song for 3 minutes, so you owe $1 as a royalty to this person, and then that becomes feasible. You know that month end comes, we've used this person's songs, so we paid maybe $100 dollars to this person because we've used their song 100 times in different venues. That makes more sense. And also work on having a system that will promote honesty, transparency, and accountability, because what you're asking for will not work as long as you are not able to be everywhere in Zimbabwe. What they're just doing, they're just pushing memos.
I don't think they have the main power, really. Also, when you see Vic Falls and then have another guy in Lake Konarajo, there are these guys where you go to about Lake Kyle and all those resources down deep, wherever. They have entertainment at night. Are you going to have a ZIMURA officer going there to see if anyone is playing? Oh, this is just going to affect the people in Harare and Ngqabutho, who might just be, because I don't think they will do the whole monitoring. I don't know, man. But we need to find a way to see these policies, because they don't shape the future of the industry. They actually destroy. We already have a deformed teapot shape, and that's how our industry is even shaped. We don't have a definite to see, okay, this is where we're going, this is where we're coming from. You mentioned copying international standards. When we are copying something, this is the only time which we say copy almost everything. But then as you copy
everything,
as we copy, can't you make it unique to Zimbabwe?
Yeah.
Because what
localize, adapt.
Our economy is not the same as South Africa or Nigeria or America or the United Kingdom. But then the policies can be made, and then the template played around to suit the Zimbabwean thingy. Maybe.
And also what I would also ask probably from ZIMURA is the fact that they can measure on trying to specialize, and also make sure that probably this is to ZIMURA, Zimbabwe Music Union, and also the ZICO. Those people, they are already established organization with members. They need to come down and define what each of them is supposed to do, so that they don't have responsibilities that are conflicting. Because as long as they represent the same people to do the exact same thing, there's always going to be competition, there's always going to be unnecessary squabbles. So the first thing that I would ask of ZIMURA is to try and have a system that is specialized, where they are responsible for something. Zimbabwean music rights is responsible for something else, and ZICO is responsible for something else, and they work together to try and make the industry okay for everyone. And don't push away people that are not your members, because those are potential people that could be joining you, and other people are just thought leaders who will have an influence one way or the other. Whatever thing that you do, they will be able to pass it down to the next person to say, if you want to be an artist, I think going to the Zimbabwe Union, Zimbabwe Music Union is the best, or going to ZIMURA or going wherever is the best. So at the end of the day, they should work with us. But on coming up with a structure, on the performance thing, the charge is the main problem. I don't have a problem with the principle of anyone paying for that. Let them come up with something that is reasonable. Norman suggested that they might be going to 100. 100 is not okay. It's still a lot of money. Even 50 US dollars per night is still a lot of money. There is no royalty like that. There's no way of even trying to divide that royalty to say someone at a performance of 1 hour, they played 12 songs. Let's say it's 12 songs of different artists. So if you're going to take $100, how are you going to divide that? Are you telling me that person is getting about $5 royalty? That would be the most expensive royalty in the world, in an economy that is not one of the best in the world.
Yeah. And at the same time, there's something that's pretty interesting. Are you aware that most of these guys in these bands are already members of ZIMURA? Meaning they paid Zimbabwe $50 or whatever it is to join ZIMURA. And then now they have to pay. And then now you have to pay these regular things.
I think it's $80.
80. That's a lot of money. Bro, that's a lot of money.
Yo, Isambro, you pay like 100 rand. Ikopaso, 100 rand. Isambro, I think it's free. Irisa, maybe it's like 500 and something, 575.
BMI is free, and it covers international. I wanted to come to Norman. Norman is our think tank and as a researcher. How important are cover bands in the ecosystem as a music industry?
They are very important, very, very important because they tend to also occupy certain spaces that can't be occupied by the originals. Of course, like I mentioned earlier on, a majority of the people whose music is being covered are already no longer with us. So obviously, people would want to go out there and bring back those old memories. And it's very exciting. I've watched a lot of cover bands in during my time in Zimbabwe around last December, doing amazing work around our own Love Moma Jaivana, Tuku, and many other greats. Um, some departed, some still with us. However, I think at the moment, I would want to think that what will happen if these cover bands stop covering?
If the cover bands, if the cover bands stop covering, it kills, like you say, the memories, the legacy, everything. That's us. It's like imagine these guys. What kind of heroes those things or go destroy the great Zimbabwe? What happens? Our legacy, the past is gone. So if the cover bands stop covering the music, what happens? But then now, my next question to you is, you can get a mechanical license for recording. So if these cover bands were to get, let's say, this is an example, a mechanical license from Grammar and go and record. Now, when I can't perform that song, you can't charge me anymore because now I have the right. It's now my right, my song, right?
That's where I was trying to go to. That's the direction that I was trying to take, to say, why can't we have all these bands coming together and decide to go to the real owners of the music and say, okay, we are looking for the rights. We don't mind even if it's out, it's streamed. Because I've seen a lot of these artists remixing some of the old music, and then when you go out there, it's now your song.
So we should be talking to Nick Rama Labo ZMC instead of ZIMURA, because they are the owners of the music.
Yes, exactly. That is the point. So that means you stop covering in the current sense. With the setup that we have now, it's expensive for you to cover. So you stop covering, you go and look for the owner, you talk to the owner, you re-record, even if doesn't come out really nice, as long as there's now a version that is now yours.
And an agreement on paper to say you've got the mechanical rights, and then this is your thing. When I go out, it's my thing, which I was given a full right for. I think these are some of the things that we need to encourage our artists to do, because we cannot be shortchanged by a group of, I don't know how many people are in the ZIMURA board. I'll look into it as we continue our conversation. We can have a few people take food out of, I don't know how many bands are in Zimbabwe. You get
they'll work around it, bruh. Remember, they have the muscle, bruh. So they'll work around it, bruh.
Black, if me and you reach an agreement, there's nothing Boaz or Norman can do, because this is between me and you.
Plan, bruh. They'll say, now you performing, being in front of the people, now you have to pay.
But that then becomes a law that applies to everyone, including those that are not covering, because there are also artists that are not doing these covers. And when you have got law being developed to punish people, then you have a very serious problem. The law is not supposed to punish people. It's there to ensure that there is harmony and there is order. So my thinking is that they need to rethink. They need to go back to the drawing board and consider even looking for rights from outside the country where it might slightly be cheaper, and then you begin to play music from Brenda Fassie and many other greats out there.
But Vele, you know what, guys? We can debate for 3 days or 1 week. This was put in to punish people, to say, okay, Murugita so, Bafana Murugita so. Takwisa this law. I mean, it was nothing out of maybe it had nothing to do with maybe Leonard Nembo's family is not benefiting from this, or Nyasha David is not benefiting from this trumpet guy playing Mafinde Fua. No, it had nothing to do. They had no interest whatsoever. It was just a form of punishment to say, ukuthi lokuze Boaz, you still have more to say towards the whole ZIMURA thing. Okay. Wait, what's the next point of order now?
I think I go back to what Norman is saying, that we need to come up with an agreement which is reasonable, because we definitely cannot erase the law that they've put across. It's a law that is within their rights, within what is their responsibility is to collect those rights. But also, maybe, Norman, I will ask you to come in here, that from the discussions that we've seen amongst artists, among other stakeholders from WhatsApp, one of the key things that is missing is information. People don't seem to be arguing from a place where they even understand what it is that they're talking about or what it is that they are refusing.
Hey, we are Zimbabweans.
So people,
we are Zimbabweans, Baba. We hear something, we start arguing. We don't care.
Yeah. So I have that feeling also that probably we need more education on copyrights. What are copyrights? What do they do? What is it that we're talking about? Even to some people, I remember when I spoke, I think it was you, Norman, when that WhatsApp group was put across. I came to you and said there's this group and it doesn't seem there is anything that is clear on where it is going, where it is coming from. So the guy was there only for an hour and there were 600 people in that group. So there's no way you can address 600 people, expect them to ask you questions, reply to what you have said, or even agree with you, and you only give them 60 minutes. So, and also some of the answers that were given in that platform were yes, no, yes, So at that point I disengaged, because you're not telling me anything. You come to address us for an hour, and then I ask you a question, Norman, and then you say yes.
And of all the platforms, how do you choose WhatsApp? WhatsApp is such a micro platform that only a certain niche or certain people so close to you will get it. There are other people who are big players who are actually really affected. Some of us who are debating are not directly affected by this, but then there are people who are actually directly affected by this, who actually have questions because they are scared to carry their guitar and go to the next performance, but they can't get the answers. And they don't even know what to consult. And you create a WhatsApp group. It's stupid decisions like those that get us all worked up when we talk about.
Yeah, even on those 600, if you look at how the conversation was going, they were only responding to certain people. The other messages that would be written and they will be ignored, but there are certain people who, when they speak, and then those are the ones that were being answered. I felt like the group was, whatever it is now, it has transformed to even a worse animal than it was at the beginning. It's not helping anyone. People are more divided. ZIMURA is splitting their case. Zimbabwean of Rights is splitting their case. I think there was also someone from Zico who was also splitting their case. So now it's like people have found a platform to campaign for their cause or what they represent. So if those people that are already in those leadership positions in this organization, if they could find it in them to come together and then try to come up with a way forward that is progressive. And I don't agree with the posters from Zimbabwe Music Union to say criminal whatever, away with 150. Away with 150, okay, fine. But what does replace that? Because there is no way you will want to throw away a right. So that right needs still to be respected in a normal system, in a system that rewards people that are creators. So how do we reward that person? Because the 150 or the 100 or the 50, to me, still, it doesn't make sense. These people, like I said, they make about $75 on average per night.
And the transparency to see the money leave Blackout's wallet until it gets to Elias Msakwa or whoever. We want. How do we even know it goes? Because we all know these guys have various fundraisers, some to even cover essentials like salaries and other things. So how do we know that's just not another fundraiser? I've said it before, when we started here.
But kanti akumelanga i-government ibe le budget eyama-royalties ukuthi the money does not need to come from me ukuthi to the artist. It needs to come from a budget a radio or what from the budget here government, then artist and my battery maybe annually a license.
Yeah, but
No, I think that will not work. I think what you're asking for, you're asking us citizens of Zimbabwe to be taxed to pay artists. You know, so
no.
that's
No. I think no. You know what
Yes.
it means. What it means is
Government is us.
yeah, government is
like
us.
government.
If anything is on the budget, it means that will
It
translate
means
to
it's
whatever
coming
is
from the
taxed the
taxpayer.
taxpayer. You know, so even if
Guys.
I'm not going to enjoy your song, I'm still going to be forced by the tax to
Even
cover
Mapo's
whatever portion.
Mapo's
You know.
story that don't attend such shows in bars are being made to
Yeah.
pay. Do you know the logic?
But guys,
Yeah.
when the department, there's a Ministry of Broadcasting, right? We have a Ministry of Broadcasting. When that ministry
information
and something,
and broadcasting in it, when those guys allocate ZBC imali like about Power FM, Radio Zimbabwe, and what, and it that money, and then those guys,
it comes from us.
Yeah, it comes from us. Yes,
that's
the money that they
money
used
comes
to
from
use
us.
Because now when they look at their playlists to say, okay, we need to pay $10 of playlist, and that money is in the account. Oh, are we saying where do they expect to get the money from to pay the? Because ZBC doesn't pay no one unless there's 1, 2, 3 people who tell me they got the money from ZBC. But from where I stand.
Okay, I am not excusing ZBC from paying royalties, but I'm saying that money should not come from the taxpayer. So ZBC as a station, it has the market that it serves. That market, when there are adverts on radio, it's money that is made every hour for all the adverts that you hear. Those are people that are paying ZBC. That is a commercial entity. They say a DJ is there for 3 hours. We all want to go and listen to MC Title. They know how many listeners are tuned in, and then the cost of the advert is also judged by how many listeners or the reach of that particular show. So people are advertising are people who are somehow supposed to finance the royalties. You know, you're going to use 36 songs in 3 hours. How much is a royalty for each? How much does 3 hours make? So don't take that burden and put it on someone who's already unemployed, or someone who's already struggling to try and make a living. Yes, let's pay the artist, but let's be more commercially efficient in doing so for everyone to benefit at the end of the day. So I don't think including that in the national budget will be a solution to this. Let that money come from somewhere, but not from the budget.
After all is said and done, let's say we agree and yes, we comply and we pay. You get, and you are playing maybe Ilanga, you know the band that there was there's I don't know how many people in there, and some members are still alive, right? And are you taking it straight to ZMC, or if those band members were not part of Z, because some of them were not totally signed to those Grama and ZMC. You get some of them
to the person that owns the master.
And back then, how many people owned masters? How many people really understood? How many people understood the business side of it? I'm just saying. Let's say the guys were not in ZMC. Let's say the guys were not part of Ikrama.
So what we are seeing is, you see, the problem that we have now is an issue that is arising as a result of the evolving nature of our music industry. I think this debate would not even be there if we were still selling cassettes, for example. If we were still selling CDs through the formal channels where, you know, when one records, they are able to take CDs to the market, just like your sort of pre-2006 times and so on and so forth. what I'm seeing with our institution or institutions within the arts space, especially ZIMURA, is that they are failing to evolve. They are failing to sort of understand the economic realities that are on the ground. So what they probably need to do is to go and sit down with artists, call for some form of a conference, sit down with the affected parties, call for a conference and sit down with cover bands, for example. There are not so many. You can sit down with them, or and have a conversation. Consult, come to some form of an agreement. Sit down with venues as well. Invite venues. These days, I think with technology, you can even invite people to come through to some form of an online meeting and have a robust
we do it like we're
discussion.
doing right now. Come on Zoom and then we talk about it.
Yes. Yeah, and talk about it and find out exactly how best these things can be resolved. That is very important. And at the same time, we also don't want to use the law to weaponize the law, to sort of use our feelings and to sort of respond or react to issues. These guys were quiet, like what King Boaz mentioned. They just realized that they are there and they are mandated to do A, B, C, D because those Bosho guys had started seemingly doing very well.
It was one day. It was one day, guys. One Valentine's Day, guys.
Yes.
One day. How many people received? How many people okay, where did you expect that guy to go? 29, 30 people in one day. A day is 24 hours. You have to travel from Rua and whatever. There's something that you mentioned.
It's only fair for that guy to pay maybe a fee annually, maybe $50 annually.
Because right now, as we speak, this guy hasn't had a booking the past 2-3 weeks. He's sitting at home with his trumpet getting dust.
So if you want to create an industry that is capable of growing, you don't suppress it, you don't overtax it, you allow it to grow, you allow it to thrive. You even wake up as ZIMURA and say, we want to see more cover bands, but as a cover band, please come and register. You can be very punitive about those that are not registering, and your registration fees can be as low as $20. Just allow people to flourish, and then and when you have such a setup, you can then go back to the drawing board and say, now we've got a lot of these cover bands, because it's also good. We are celebrating our culture. We're looking back. We're also telling our story to the young ones that are also growing, to say, oh, there used to be some of these artists and they were doing very well in the 90s or 80s or 70s. This is the music that they were doing. And let us allow you to evolve that music, to evolve that sound. Look at South Africa. You see your amapiano. It's a culmination of a lot of things, a fusion of a lot of things. And they're the big industry, So the cake can grow if you allow your economy to flourish, not to overtax it, not to suppress it or oppress it the way we are seeing it happen. But I'm quite happy that most of the people that are in disagreement with these fees are the ordinary minds that have been vocal about speaking positively about ZIMURA. So it then shows us that something is really going wrong with the way ZIMURA is doing their things.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing is, besides the very few who actually debate from a point of not knowing and just debating, personally, my point is, as ZIMURA, enforce whatever you need to enforce, but don't deprive people of the basics. As Zimbabweans, we go through a lot. The least you can do is let us get entertained. Let the music play. That's all we can do. You understand? And then I want to come to Boaz. Norman mentioned how amapiano is growing, how other countries are growing. If you go to America, when we started listening, Puff Daddy would sing proudly. I take music, take hits from the 80s, make them sound so crazy. Right now, amapiano is taking that music from Dada and they are bringing it, and no one forgets. It keeps coming. Yep. And as Zimbabweans, we haven't grasped the whole interpolation and sampling the moment you try and use something in there, what's the biggest thing that says adzura? You understand? But it's not everything that's kudzura. Ogunye, it's I'm bringing back and I'm mixing it, because the same people who rush to say, fuck, you're stealing, are the same people who listen to other people's music and they don't even know that, no, that music was taken from wherever. Because right now, from your Kendricks that everyone is talking about today, your Drakes, your Dr. Dre, your Eminems, we can go and dig deep. Most of those things are taken from 1950, 1980, 19, wherever. Why can't we take our Mahotela Queens, our Fanyana Dube, our whatever? It doesn't have to be a whole song. It doesn't have to be a whole chorus. It can be just a 3-second loop or melody or just a note, and make music out of it. And then that way, this is the reason why even the new music is failing to break through. And then we say, abantu South Africa bafuna ukuguga. No, bafuna ukuguga. But when he hears a Miriam Makeba or a Miriam Makeba in a chant or vocal in a piano song, that Makoko will be like, oh, I know this song. They can relate. And you can't help it when they vibe to that piano, because, oh, it reminds me, and it's vibe. But when we can't even do it at home, we can't even throw in a Bafumo thing or a Mtukuzi thing without being said you are not creative, Urukuba. So how do we educate people to make them understand sampling and interpolation as part of music creation?
Yeah, one thing that is a problem in Zimbabwe that I think we also said it in this platform is that we don't know how relay works, how we should be giving each other a pattern. And this is not only in music, like in any field in Zimbabwe. People don't know to say, listen, Norman, you're good at marketing. You've been doing this for some time. I'm a young'un. May you please take me under your wing and teach me the ropes. I also want to be like you. And Norman does not stand there and then support me and say, I will support you. You can even be better than me. We don't do that, So we don't have that culture of sharing things, of appreciating the next generation and appreciating the generation that comes before us to be something that is cool. We always want what do we call it? We call it authenticity. We call it being original. We want to reinvent the wheel. We want to do everything. I'm the first person to do this. I'm the first person to do that. And then I'll give you an example of Oriano. Everyone is saying that Oriano sounds like Japreza is copying Japreza. Someone is saying his career will be finished by July. There's all these sorts of things. Right now, I hear that he might be going to Tanzania to feature Diamond Platnumz. They're saying exactly. You see, we've said this before. He's taking the exact roots as Japreza. We all start from somewhere. If we're going to have the local sound that all of you have been saying, we should do the local sound.
If that's the local sound, then let it be.
Yes, where will that local sound come from if I cannot be like anyone else, if I cannot learn anything from anyone else, So we are in a spot where it's really difficult. I can imagine even them artists themselves when they're creating music, because if you create music in Ndebele and do rap, you're sounding South African. So there is nothing that will be original. Then if you take a song and sound like Winky D or sound like Japreza, you're not original. You're not going anywhere. You're trying to be a copycat. If there's a sound that's going to grow in Zimbabwe, there is no way it's going to grow when people are not. They say imitation is the greatest flattery. It's not going to work if we don't know how to flatter people by copying. If I admire you, I will copy you and do something that you do, but I will find my way. Trust me, Oriano is going to find his way. He's going to find his space in music, even if he's not going to go away from Japreza. He will bring his own elements because he's a good artist, he's a good performer, he's a good musician. Yes, you may think, oh, these elements are from Japreza, but Oriano has proven that he can do this. He will find his own voice, find his own way. And if someone else comes in, there will be a Japreza genre. If it becomes international,
as you mentioned that, interestingly, as you mentioned that, and as you mentioned that quotation where you say imitation is the greatest flattery, you would discover that 90% of these guys that have grown to be household names, keeping it with our topic, used to be used to do covers. You remember when Mafuma and Tukuzi used to play rock and roll and stuff, doing them Jimi Hendrix and stuff like that. So
Yes.
whatever you do, I think we need to have volunteers, not citizen journalists, because hey, that's another debate for another day that I saw going around last week. But we need to have people, enthusiastic people who want to see the growth and just contribute positively, share the little knowledge that they have. One or two people might pick it from your social media pages and run with it. Because what is lacking for me, and I keep emphasizing it, is we have a lot of misinformation or uninformation. I know there's no word like that, but most people don't know. And some are actually actively involved and they are clueless of whatever they are involved. But then Blackout, you're a producer, modern day producer. You work with loops, you work with creation from the start. What's when your thingy, your excuse for not including these samples? When I know you are obsessed with these copyrights and mechanical rights and everything. What other besides that? What's your excuse for not including music in your creation, Yama beats, alcohol, hip hop, and the likes?
I've sampled maybe 2 or 3 tracks. I think I've sampled Mtukuzi in one of the songs.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Hypnosis will release. I think I've sampled too much Ivan, but thinking of most of our music, it's hard to hip hop it, to make it hip hop. We are trying. It's not like we are not doing it. We are trying. Slowly, I know Amachens will start doing it, but we are trying.
Okay.
And talking of sampling, sorry, Taito, before you go there, look at Fake Love. Look at Fake Love by Dr. Tawanda and this kid. If we had a culture like that in Zimbabwe, I'm telling you, we would be having everyone on the continent listening to our music. That is the only thing that is missing. We are always trying melody, whatever, but there are billions of songs that have written already.
So there's this girl, or the one who did a cover song, also Egamachaivan. And he made it a piano-like song that got
Black what? Black Deep.
Yeah.
I think I see her on TikTok. Yes.
She got fame 2 minutes and she started blasting Twagazi people after getting the fame.
I saw that part. I saw that part.
And Ngapa, she's sampling Umachaivan, the same person who is.
No. But I think she was lost. People got lost in translation. What she was saying is, you know what? I grew up in Bulawayo. I'm sure now, but I grew up in Bulawayo.
No. She says it ukuthi akakhulelanga koBulawayo, angazi ukhulele ngaphi emaplazini ngale. Bra, uCherry lwana uthi yena akakwazi ukukhuluma isiNdebele, akakwazi ukukhuluma isiShona.
So did anyone have a problem with that? What's the point? If they sample the song and no one else is sampling the song, what's the problem?
No,
because all these artists are all
song.
trying to. Yeah.
The problem ukuthi yena, she was singing Shona songs the whole time. Then one song that she sang, Egamachayivana, got a recognition. By the time she gets recognition, when she gets there, she blasts Mtwagazi.
No, but on the Mtwagazi thing,
what do you mean, Taito, when you say no? Because
I stand with what she said. You know that guy is toxic. That Mtwagazi guy is toxic. I follow him on TikTok. I've been on his platform.
Taito, there's a lot of toxic people, bruh.
But remember, I said, we don't get cancelled. That guy is toxic. Come on, guys.
But I think let's go back to the point.
Anyway,
let's go back to the idea that
we always censor this part. Don't worry. Yeah.
I don't know if she sampled, because I haven't listened to the whole song, but there's a small part that I watch on TikTok. What she has done, she's a young woman belonging to the generation of I think of our AMA 2Ks or late 90s. which is exactly the point that we want. We want to see our young people taking or carrying the legacy or carrying the sound to the next generation. That's I mean, that's what I think should be happening. But if you have laws or rules or regulations that seem to be throttling that, then we have a very serious problem as a country.
Because we have a potential of having amazing music. Remember Kelvin's song, that Tabani Machaha? That's a dope song. That's a dope song. And we have a lot of other music that we can use. And also, my other concern, probably I can throw it to you, Boaz. I think I've asked you again before. We need to find other ways, because we can't always say when we mention Bulawayo and music, everyone rushes to Machaivan. What are you saying about all the other guys that have been there before? Because we grew up watching TV. There were a lot of guys.
Yeah, I think people are kind of stuck on Machaivan, but I don't know why everyone uses him as a reference of Bulawayo music. Can you imagine our Kiwe with Cool Crooners? Can you imagine any songs from Cool Crooners, and then our Cool Crooners just do their chorus, and then our K comes in? Imagine that song is produced by Black Wat, with his hip hop, whatever. He takes the Cool Crooners, he does that. There's Gibbs Fire, there's all these artists that are there that we could be looking back and celebrating and taking so much from them, but somehow people only remember Machayivana, and then sometimes they put to Upiata, and then they go to Kelvin, and then there's nothing after that, So we have a very timeline, which is
it a memory thing? Because I might get cancelled for this, because
I think if we let people write our history, is about Machaivan kuphela. We have to tell
exactly.
them.
Also, yes. I think
Fanyana Dube bakhona.
Fanyana Dube, yeah.
Zimbabwe bakhona yabona baningi.
What's that guy? My favorite.
Yeah.
All those guys.
Yeah. Solomon Scuza. Solomon Scuza is a legend, So and if you look even the likes of what you call it, do you know our Andy Brown? Musically, they're from Bulawayo. Andy Brown started their career in music. They became who they are. They were in Bulawayo. So even if you look at who was playing with Andy Brown, so there are many artists that were there which we have not spoken about. Probably we need to take time and take stock ourselves and also educate people about these people, especially if you're an artist, if you're a creative.
Go back. We have rich history in Bulawayo, which people don't even remember. I was in this discussion, but look at
the guy from
started in Bulawayo, then migrated to KZN. Now it's something like
now it's a culture. Now it's a culture in KZN, If you look at the late Joe Masego.
Joe Masego,
that guy produced for artists all over the continent, especially in Southern Africa. He has hits in Botswana. He has hits in
cultural sound. Cultural sound, that was Joe Masego.
What do you call it? Doc Chebeleza, Pure Magic, and all those guys. Those guys were frequenting Kovalanda. They were coming to Kovalanda to his studio to record. They were recording in Kovalanda. He wasn't flying to them. They came to him to do his music because he always said it was comfortable in his own space. So if you want to use his services, it's best with this instrument. People will come there and record those things, And even if we take them out, look at the artists that came up during the time of Apple Grooves. The people that were recording at Joma Seko. So there are so many artists of them. Maybe because music doesn't pay, those guys decided, no, we're not doing this music.
But I think we cannot emphasize. We cannot emphasize enough.
About blacks.
We cannot emphasize enough what Blackout was saying. Uguti, we have a rich Ilokuzen Gobla. We need to say it, Tina. Like even as a country, on the Facebook page, when just a post that will mention Uguti, other than Machaivana, do you know there is Ray Piri, there's Musingube, there's Matondo, there's Kelvin and Muzi, there's, you know what? And then maybe slowly but surely, people can actually go and discover, oh my God, you have such an amazing thingy that's there. So it's all our responsibility at the end of the day.
I wanted to say that as a country.
Okay.
Sorry, Norman, go on.
Allow me to come in for a minute. King, remember when we were working on that top 100 list of, I think, Zimbabwe's greatest songs during
in
COVID?
40 years, yes, in 40 years, yeah.
In 40 years. One of the things that I observed amongst the panel is that I brought in Dolwane Super Sound and I said, you know, these guys were very big. You know, it's a band whose music you would hear in deep Churumans with them. And when I look at the coming in of younger Ndebele rumba bands now, you know, Nsimbize Shwane, I'm seeing the template and where it is coming from, you know. And I think much has not been said about them, you know, in terms of the kind of setting up, the kind of templates that these guys have contributed to the music industry. And those stories need to really be told. Yeah, that's my contribution there.
Yeah, man. But anyway, you know what? I think we are going to end this. So we have a situation whereby
let's hear what are you guys saying about the numbers. Why are you running away? What happens
no, we're
at
not.
the I want to know what happens at the numbers because I heard the biggest artist there saying manama ndiye kumama.
So me I said I will not comment about our awards until they do them right. So I will only cherry pick what I thought was outstanding at the numbers, the performances. I think everyone who performed at the numbers, they killed it, especially Nisha T. If Nisha T are hearing this,
yeah, big shout out.
International stage is yours. Big shout out to you, you know. And it's not even when they were standing up doing anything. Whoever choreographed that thing when they were sitting on the desk, just moving their hands and their heads with Nisha T singing, that was dope. That was top standard. But everything that they did there, the dancers were top for everyone. Even their dressing, they were better dressed than most presenters. Then maybe on the dressing, Napoleon for me was the only person that stood out for me who seems like put an effort. I would have expected the presenter to have changed hairdresses. I don't know her name. I've forgotten her name. I think for a 3-hour show to come back in 1 or 2 dresses, that wasn't enough for me. I would have loved a variety of dresses on that part. And then male presenters, guys, put some effort next time when you're coming to present such an award, because we watched that thing with international friends, international stakeholders who are interested in what is happening in Zimbabwe. You're not representing well. Put an effort in dressing up. Like Zana K said, why don't we have a category for fashion designers in Nama anyway? Why are fashion designers not recognized? Why don't we have a category that recognizes them? And also, why isn't there collaborative work with the numbers and the dressers? If there's anyone who dressed those presenters, I am sorry if it's there, because we didn't see it for the most part. The ladies, I think Charlene Mangweni.
Charlene was dressed by Matopo, but she was behind the scene. She was killing it behind the scene. She made the award for me.
Coming down. Yeah. She was well dressed, and the other presenter, despite the 2 dresses, whatever she was putting on, those 2 dresses were okay. So I just expected a variety. Napoleon, and then others, guys. No, sorry. Whoever took an award for Master H, I think she said she's a PR for Master H, the lady. She was well dressed. Madam Boss was well dressed. I don't know who Madam Boss came with. The other male guy, also the male presenter, or
Mama V.
Mama V. Yeah,
Yeah.
Mama V was also, she was also fine. Then others, no.
I think the whole problem starts with the numbers are too broad. I don't take them seriously in their current state or format because they are too broad. We need more specialist awards. You know, we need to have music awards, a very strong music award system. We need to also have journalism awards strengthened, and ultimately, and I agree with Napoleon when in one of the interviews that we should ultimately do away with the numbers. We need to go special to be specialist in our approach, so that at least people can be able to be awarded for their work. Because look at the kind of output that we had in music. But because there are limited categories, you have such a lot of good music out there not being able to be rewarded because it will become too big for them. So I think we need to have awards organizations coming on board as part of the industry. But all these things do come through if you have a thriving industry. It takes us back to my earlier point that we need to let the industry flourish and grow so that it makes sense for brands to come in and as well and benefit from such associations. But in their current state, as things stand, it's difficult for anyone to come on board because there's no return on investment.
Do you want my input, Blackout? Because
Yes.
okay,
Yes.
you know what? Mina, I've said it, and this is another repeat of it. The performances were amazing. I don't lie to you. I enjoyed those performances. But everything else, it didn't do for me. From the selecting of the venue and the live mixer, because sometimes when the drone is going that way, you show us a lot of empty seats and the aesthetics didn't look good in that regard. And as for the general public, it still goes back to the basics, where as Zimbabweans, probably we don't understand the memo. Some of these ceremonies you dress up for them. You dress up and you show up like what everyone does. It's the only thing that we have. You understand. So other than that, because I've said enough and I've touched feelings when it comes to
The
that.
other
That's all I
thing,
can say.
the other thing, guys, did you see Boss Scott Mapuma there? The ref did not stick to the script there.
Which one now? Which
The
one is this one?
last game of is Scotland. The ref did
Ah,
not stick to the script
when they
there.
lost. Listen to.
Ngibone keeper there. He was there with the coach for almost 10 minutes there, refusing to go. Uyabona ukuthi ayivale i-penalty yangikhona. Yo, it's crazy.
No, it
The
happens.
boss
It
was
happens.
angry.
You know, trust blackouts always bring the tangent. But then also I want to emphasize
Our ref,
i-point ekhulunywa
our ref is
nguLokuzela.
not getting the aqua, bruh.
I-point Norman on the awards. I really think we need the specialization. And you mentioned the journalism. You've got friends, Norman Boaz, you guys are friends in journalism. Maybe China says kuluma kakhulu, but the caliber of journalism is really going down, not only in entertainment or whatever, even in sport. Like Blake wants to talk about the Scotland thing. It's all going down. And my last contribution to the whole conversation that we had today is, I think if there's anyone who's from ZIMURA or the government, I think one thing that Zimbabweans should just live for the people is entertainment and not politicize it. I think that's the other thing. The fact that people are being asked if you're coming from a union or whatever for you to get answers from ZIMURA is already a worrying concern, and it won't grow. It will suffocate the industry, because some of us or some other people don't want to be associated with whoever, but they want to keep playing the music. So let's put the politics away, and music and entertainment is for everyone, and let's entertain the people. And whoever comes with policies, let's do research. I know some guys are in those positions because they have a history as creatives, but then if I once was a rapper, it doesn't mean that I'm the right person to lead a rappers union. You get, if I don't know anything to do with administration or finance or anything. So whatever happens, we'll keep having these lame and whatever decisions. And it's not nice to be saying all these bitter words to grown-ups, because I know there are people like our Albert Nyati that we grew up watching and everything. And it's not nice when we come through and we criticize you like this in public forum. It sounds like personal attacks and everything, yet we don't even know you on that personal thing. So we need to try and just keep everything on a fair level. Our economy is not the same like other countries. We're still many moons behind, but we can still try and do fair play to everyone. And yeah, that's my case. And then Scotland, Kuluma blackout. Well, good luck to the Warriors. Anyway, Scotland has got 6 players there.
I was saying Scotland, since Scotland is half Warriors. So if half Warriors, Scotland FC was beaten by Ngezi 1-0 after Uref did not stick to the script, because I'm sure that penalty was supposed to give it to Scotland. Then
And they gave it to
giving it to Ngezi. Then the boss was angry.
Then the boss stayed on, but I'm going to look at the stadium. I don't know what he was talking to his
He was
to his boys.
angry. He was angry there because I'm sure Uref is not getting
But
anything.
guys, we
There's
spoke
no
about
offer
this.
for
We spoke
the
about
ref.
this. The team
It's too good, eh?
no,
Too
no,
good
no.
to win games, that team.
You know, I
How do you select
upgraded
players?
my Windows, right? So now I just got a shock. This thing just say confirm your speaking language. It sounds like you might have switched to a different language.
Oh,
These guys are crazy. You know, you can't do anything online now without. I shouldn't have. You know, I've been procrastinating upgrading my thing. So now the whole AI, the whole Samsung AI thing is catching up, and it's not nice. It's called translations. That's nothing. But anyway,
I see Scotland will be in Barberfield against Boss on the 30th. Do you think they will come out wounded there, or they?
my brother, they are winning 3-0, my brother.
Where?
Scotland is winning 3-0.
Oh yes. Because Boss was wounded. Boss was leading 2-0, and then now they squandered it to a 2-all draw with Green Fuel. We can forgive Bosso, but when it comes to other teams, I don't see Scotland going all out,
I
guys.
know Scotland.
It's a collection. It's a collection of players.
No,
There's no
that
team
is-
there, guys.
Yeah.
Scotland is a good team, bruh.
It's a
Scotland
collection
is
of good.
good
It's a
team.
collection of players who were good last season.
Trust me, that team is good, bruh. But Iguchi Ngezi was also good. Ngezi is also a good team.
Blackout, what's your favorite quotation? You are as good as your last release. Those guys are as good as the last season that they were playing from their different teams. Now they came through. It's 25 of them. For them to blend in as a team, Jay, it will take individual brilliance. Otherwise, individual brilliance.
Three
individual
games, they
brilliance.
lost one, they lost one, they bought two. So
Exactly.
it's still something to go.
It will take individual brilliance and the brown envelope. Other than that, we'll win it. Cheers, guys. Thank you for coming. You know, the conversation never ends and we never say goodbye. But yeah, man. Big shout out to Norman. Yeah.
Right.